answer the question why you think you want that. I think a lot of times that's the corporate path, right? Like, I start out here and then I move here and then I'm a team leader and then I'm a manager and then like there's a corporate hierarchy that we are trained. That's how it works. So first answer, why do I want to do this?
Because you
And
shouldn't do it just because people think you should.
correct. Or just because that's the path that's laid out by the organization you're currently working at. There's a lot of paths that you can take in a career that don't necessarily go to leadership, which isn't, I'm not saying don't, but know why you want to do that. Because if you know why, if you know your own why, then you can make sure that leap, the next step you take, whatever it is actually going to be one that excites you. And like we talked about motivation of salespeople, what's going to get you up early on Monday and what's going to get you to actually work after lunchtime on Friday when your
Yeah.
motivation is low. I think understanding your own why before you do it.
This is Conversations with Women in Sales, an award-winning podcast launched by Barbara Giamanco and now hosted by Lori Richardson. Listen to interviews with amazing women about their journeys in their sales careers, often discussing sales leadership tips, ideas, and strategies. We aim to inspire women to consider or continue a sales career, and for some women to grow into sales leadership. Men, we need your support and appreciate your allyship. Now here's our host, Lori Richardson.
I'm here today with one of my favorite people, Lynn Hidy. Known Lynn for a long time. Lynn is founder of Up Your Telesales, and she's the author of the brand new book coming out January 8th. Is that correct?
Yes.
Called Mastering Inside Sales Leadership. Lynn, it's such a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you. It's so great to have an opportunity to just chat with you about sales, which is our favorite
Yeah,
thing.
we don't make enough time to do that, so I'm really glad to have you here today. And I was asking you before we started recording, what prompted you to write a book now? You've been doing work in inside sales and building teams and helping people for many years. What prompted you to decide to put it out there and share it with the world?
This is comes from a course that I developed years ago. And the funny part is that historically I've worked a lot with inside sales people, right? The teams of the leaders. And somebody asked me for like a leadership playbook, a guide. And I looked out there and there was nothing current, nothing that talks about using this, right? Like no post-COVID era tips for a leader to drive their inside sales team. And so I took everything I know and created one for them.
That's great. And you have a great sense of humor and you have a really pleasant tone. You've been writing emails that I've been reading, newsletter issues, I guess, for many years. And so you're putting all this wisdom together into one book and there are 12 chapters. I've been through it. It's really helpful. Some of the chapters are vision, leadership, management, individuals make up a team, motivation, 12-month area of focus, key metrics, weekly tasks, and daily priorities. What do you think are some of the biggest let's start with a mistake or two that leaders make, and then we'll talk about what are the best things that they're getting right.
I would say that because inside sales is a piece of the sales puzzle in most organizations rather than the whole thing, although if we're talking about tech, right, everybody might be inside. A lot of people think their company has a vision that they don't have a vision, right?
Mm,
There's no vision for the sales team
yeah.
itself. And I think that would be the number one mistake I see people have, right? Oh, well, we just fit into the company vision. But that's
Right. You need your own vision for your team, right? And what if it
you
doesn't match the vision of the company?
it at least has to be like a puzzle, right? There at least has
Yeah.
to be there has to be a connection point from the sales vision to what the company is trying to accomplish, certainly. Otherwise, find a different job, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I do think it's not the same thing
Yeah.
necessarily.
And also, a lot of people get promoted into leadership from a sales role, and there's no training often,
Ever.
no
Oh, wait.
ever, right? And they're not complementary typically. The best salespeople don't make the best managers, generally speaking.
And I think that the competencies are different, right? Like what makes a fabulous salesperson is not what makes a fabulous manager, and what makes a fabulous frontline sales manager is not necessarily what makes a great leader of the whole inside sales organization in my part,
Yeah.
or the whole sales organization even. Those are different skill sets. I like
Yeah.
to I think about it like an orchestra, right?
Yeah.
You can be the best first violinist in the New York Symphony. That doesn't mean that you're going to be a great conductor.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Totally agree with that. And so, what do you think people are getting right? Or what are you helping to focus on that's pretty easy to fix?
I think over the last, let's call it 5 years, just to pick a time frame,
Yeah.
managers are realizing how important coaching as a skill is. And I think that most organizations that I work with, even if they don't have some way to make people better managers, they're trying to get them to be better managers by being better coaches. So there may not be enough training, but they're certainly moving in that direction, that a manager as coach is an important play.
Yeah. And then hopefully someone is coaching that manager.
Yep. Coach the coach, train the trainer.
Yeah. Have you used any AI tools, by the way, that might be helping in that regard?
I will say that you can set up both Copilot and ChatGPT to act as a coach. If you say, I would like you to coach me, and you say, this is my role, I want you to be this coach, it does a pretty good job. The
Yeah.
prompt, it's all about the prompts, I think. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's a tool in particular. There are some places where I do see that there's a way to integrate into sales enablement coaching tools.
Yeah.
Membrane does a great job taking training and coaching material and integrating it into their CRM platform.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things you talked about is a personal development blueprint. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
So, as adults, we come from various different backgrounds, right? Like what you and I have extensive sales experience, very different, right? Like our experience is very different. To put us in the same training plan from a development perspective, not only is a disservice to us as individuals, it's also a disservice to the organization because you're not going to see a result of a person's growth if you don't know where do they want their career to go?
Mhm.
Where have they come from? And how can we merge those together and make sure that what they're doing to get to the next step is also helping them be successful now? And I have a little story, right? There was a guy in a training program who said, I find it hard to really care about any of this stuff because I really want to start my own home theater installation company. And he was selling, some IT widgets, right? And I said, well, what are the skills that you need to be successful as a business owner that you use every day here? And we came up with, okay, these are the skills that I need to be excellent at that are going to make me successful today and put me on the path to be the business owner I want to be. All of a sudden, here's a guy who was kind of, middle of the road, fly under the radar kind of sales guy who excelled because we tied what he was learning to where he wanted his career to be.
Oh, that's great. It gave him a vision for, I always say, what's going to make someone start early on Monday morning or stay full day on Friday?
Yep.
It's so easy to just go noon, people are winding down. You
Yeah.
have to, in sales, you have to have things that just keep you going and having a future, have something to look forward to, goal setting, all those kinds of things can be really, really valuable. So I love that. And you talk about co-creating between the rep and the manager,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yep.
To create your own blueprint.
And I think that co-creation as well gives the manager buy-in
Yeah.
to the salesperson's success as well. And there's a lot less motivation problems if you really know why someone wants to do something. And not all of us are chasing commission carrots, right?
Yeah.
Or
Where many people are not money motivated, but they are motivated to accomplish something, maybe make a purchase in the future, but I don't think they tie it to just want to make all the money I can. They
right.
want
And
go ahead.
it's what the money gives me, right?
Yes.
The trip, the paying off debt, the, whatever. Certainly we all come to work for money.
Yeah.
If you and I would be having this conversation probably on a beach with a Mai Tai.
Right. But many people will say, oh, I don't, particularly women. I hear they say, oh, it's really not the money. It's like, oh, but money is a tool. And
Right.
the tool is something that will buy you freedom. And if you want to, it was Giving Tuesday yesterday. Want to make a big donation? That's what you can do with the money that you make. So I
Yep.
always try to challenge people when they go, I don't really care about the money. I go, well, you might not care about it, but do you care about when you retire?
Or
What beach you go to, like you're talking about, or you go skiing, like you get,
yeah.
that all is important and it should be factored in.
Having those conversations that what does that get you, right? Conversation is part of what I talk about in the book. Have that conversation.
Yeah.
Because making President's Club, what they're trying to get by doing that, because, making President's Club is kind of the socially acceptable answer if somebody asks you what you want to achieve next year.
Yeah.
But why? What do they get? What do they get?
Yeah.
And I tell people, ask it until it becomes annoying to both of you. And that's probably the right answer. Like when they get to the point where they cannot think of something else, that's the actual answer.
Yeah. It's like peeling back the onion.
Exactly.
That's great. And so what else should we know about the philosophy you have and what's in the book that would be helpful?
I think one of the big things is my bell curve manifesto. I've gotten in lots of arguments with people over the years because everyone is looking for their next rock star. I have a very non-scientific view.
Yeah.
Sales, but the bell curve math is the same,
Yep.
right? And if you look at sales, the top sliver, 13% in bell curve math, and
Yeah.
the bottom sliver end up taking up most of a leader's time,
Yeah.
right? Those top 13%, although yes, they're producing, right? I'm not saying you should ignore them. They demand your attention. When they need your attention, you're going to give it to them because they're not going away.
Yeah.
The bottom 13%, typically HR is making you
Yeah.
tips and reviews and documentation and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Those 68% of the people in the middle, if all of them get a little bit better, it's not that you get another rock star, it's that you move the bottom of the bell curve up. The whole thing is elevated.
Yeah. And You
And
say mid-level sales performers are your team's biggest missed opportunity, and they don't demand your attention and they don't get much of it. Or what?
and they're easy to ignore, right? They're the people
Yeah.
that don't cause any problems. They're just doing their job,
Yeah.
and if we look at the top half of that, or the bell curve kind of line goes down the middle. So 34% of them are making goal, right? They're
Mhm.
ambling along. And then the other 34, roughly 34%, they're right. They're not struggling necessarily, but they're certainly not consistent performers, but they're performing enough.
Yeah.
And if we just figure out how to make them just a little bit better, it's going to be amplified across the team.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Do you have any advice for someone who is an individual contributor, but they want to become a manager and
Yeah. So
ultimately hire in sales leadership?
so my first thing is answer the question why you think you want that. I think a lot of times that's the corporate path, right? Like I start out here and then I move here and then I'm a team leader and then I'm a manager and then like there's a corporate hierarchy that we are trained. That's how it works. So first answer, why do I want to do this?
'Cause you
And
shouldn't do it just because people think you should.
correct. Or just because that's the path that's laid out by the organization you're currently working at. There's a lot of paths that you can take in a career that don't necessarily go to leadership, which isn't, I'm not saying don't, but know why you want to do that. Because if you know why, if you know your own why, then you can make sure that leap, the next step you take, whatever it is actually going to be one that excites you. And like we talked about motivation of salespeople, what's going to get you up early on Monday and what's going to get you to actually work after lunchtime on Friday when your
Yeah.
motivation is low. I think understanding your own why before you do it.
Yeah. And you use the idea of a puzzle. You talk a lot about puzzle pieces on the cover of the book. And I often think of sales as a puzzle, especially in when you're working on a deal. It's kind of like putting all the puzzle pieces together to bring it to closure or not, move
Yep.
on. And so I'm curious how you thought of the puzzle and what else do you think of it? Because you use it throughout the book.
I I think that the biggest thing, actually, Babette Ten Henkin, who we both know,
Mhm.
longer ago than I'm willing to admit, said, paint the destination postcard when you think. And I kind of translated that in my own head, like, that's the picture on the box.
The finished product.
That's the finished product. And without that picture, I don't know that we can know how all the pieces fit together, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a friend who was given a 1,000-piece white puzzle,
Oh, wow. White?
right? No picture on it at all. Versus if you can separate out the colors and, oh, here's the outline of the puzzle, but you could do that if it's all white and you can do that if it's colored, but all right, now what do I do? So you're really just looking for things that fit together. But if we have a picture on that puzzle pieces, we can make sure it looks like what we want it to look like in the end.
Yeah. And you talk about numbers don't motivate, they illuminate, right?
Yeah.
And also, then you kind of go into weekly tasks and daily priorities. Can you share anything about the
So
importance of some of this?
I here's my thing about numbers. In inside sales, everything is measured. Too often, all of that stuff is shown to somebody. Like every statistic that can be pulled is on a dashboard.
Yeah.
If everything is shown, nothing is important.
Yeah.
The big thing about metrics to me is, okay, tie the metrics to the goal of the organization, tie the metrics to the goal of the person. Make sure they understand how those puzzle pieces fit together. I always talk about, okay, dial the phone is like the foundation. You can't talk to a human unless you dial the phone.
Yeah.
But dialing the phone's not our goal.
Right. It's an activity.
It's an activity, it's effort, it shows effort, but it does not show result.
Yeah.
And often it seems like there's not a tie between activity and result in inside sales in particular. They're getting pounded on about metrics that are effort driven without looking at the result that they're trying to get or even explaining it. Like, okay, I want you to make more calls because that's going to give you the opportunity to talk to more people. Talking to more people is going to give you the opportunity to uncover a need, which is going to, keep talking about what it does for you. And that will allow the people on your team to prioritize what they need to do.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And then how much should someone plan things out? How we don't want to be micromanagers, right? But
So I,
we need
I actually,
guidelines.
so I actually think that you need to plan yourself out because then you are, right? You are the edge of then you have the edge defined on that puzzle. And everybody can start putting their own pieces inside the border. I do sometimes think that people who complain about micromanagement are the people who need the micromanagement, but that's a conversation for another day, I think.
Yeah.
The salespeople that aren't doing what they're supposed to do many times are the ones complaining about that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Weekly reviews. Yes.
I think so. In inside sales in particular, you should have conversations with one-to-one conversations with every single person on your team once a week. It doesn't have to be some formal documented thing, but you do need to be talking about pipeline and what's happening in their accounts and how can you help them? What barriers are they facing internally or externally? And really make sure you're moving forward because if the only time you talk to somebody is their annual review, it's too late.
Yeah. And
Can't
I like to
impact
see them
change.
blocked in the calendar. How about you? Yeah.
Because then, it's funny. I think then the salespeople know they're going to have your undivided attention, hopefully, and they'll hold some things and you will free up more time of your own.
Yeah.
That sounds backwards, but now I'm not pinging you about every little question because I know I have time to talk to you on Thursday, and that's my time with you.
Yeah. And you said think of it like 3 points on a triangle: direction, recognition, and redirection when you're doing a team weekly. That's a team weekly review,
Yeah.
right?
But that's a team review that also kind of works individually as well.
Yeah.
The same idea. What it sounds like would be different, obviously, if it's team driven or person driven.
Yeah. What's
I will
something?
say,
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I will say that having a weekly meeting with your direct reports does mean that the organization you work for needs to understand that that's what you're going to do and not give you 38 people on your team.
Yeah. Let's hope not.
I was there once, long, long ago, in a land far away. I had 38 direct reports. That was insanity.
Wow.
You can't even meet with all of those people meaningfully every other week, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a big difference between managing and leading, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can manage a whole bunch of people, but I don't know if you're really leading them or not.
I always think of it, you can manage tasks and things, you lead the people.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, what did you learn writing your book?
A really interesting question. I learned that a lot of the pieces and parts of what we talk about when working with sales teams as consultants, trainers, coaches is a slice of what internal managers can be doing for themselves and the people on their team. I have a lot of organizations that rely on me to do the stuff I talk about in the book,
Mhm.
which works, right? Like we can come in and do a piece of the puzzle, but you do have to have a vision and really know where you want your sales organization to go before you hire somebody to do, you know, coaching people on your team or helping you evaluate the salesperson value and
Yeah.
objectively look at things.
What do you love about sales? Because you've been in it your whole career, right?
So I will never, not my whole career. I was the office manager of a printing company
Uh-huh.
in a previous life. I love that. The thing I love, people think is crazy. So I love that we get to start over
Every month, every quarter.
every day, if you want to look at it that way, that I can make demonstrative change to myself. Like I don't have to wait for someone else. I can every time. I love the restart.
Yeah, and I love the metrics. I love seeing where I stand on the leaderboard because I don't want some guy in a corner office saying that I am not doing my job based on his opinion. I want it based on my numbers.
Yep.
If I'm not doing my job, we all know it because we can see it. That's what I love about sales is that I can affect that too. I can, like you
You
said,
can give
fresh
yourself a
start.
raise. How about
Yeah.
that? Every day you can give yourself a raise.
Yeah. And you can justify leaving early if you had to based on your numbers, based on your efforts, based on your activity. And that's, what other profession gives you that?
And there is no ambiguity. I think both of us
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it's great. I love that so much. What do you listen to for inspiration or motivation yourself?
I know we've talked about podcasts. I have to say I am more of a music listener for inspiration
Sure.
than I am podcasts. I You and I have in common that we are tactile. Like I like to read the book and then I can highlight things and
Yeah.
write in it. And I find I cannot listen to a podcast and do something else
Mm.
is my problem.
Yeah.
So then I end up saying to myself, why am I not reading?
See, I have 2-hour drives quite often, so
See,
it works out
and
well for me.
then I would absolutely do. I would absolutely do something that way. I will say that a lot of the reading that I do is not about sales in particular, right? So Colleen Stanley just came out with a book, Be the Mentor Who Mattered. She
Yeah.
also was, you're
Great
right,
book.
EI selling and EI
Yeah.
for leaders. So certainly has something to do with sales, but is really focused on those soft skills. There's an artist named Austin Kleon who
Yeah, I love him. Steal like an artist.
steal like an artist and show your work and steal like an artist. Actually, listening to him. So that was a keynote speech he gave at a
Yeah.
college graduation originally. So if you can find that, definitely listen to that. That hearing him do the original steal like an artist commencement speech is really good and very inspiring.
That's great. How about for a leader that's not so motivated or inspired right now? Do you have any advice for them? Last question.
For a leader who does not feel inspired,
Economy's tough. It's been a tough year.
how about this? It is tough.
Yeah.
I, and I will say that I can think of a couple of times in my 30-year sales career, because this book comes out on the anniversary that I became a salesperson.
Yeah. It's great.
Um, there have only been a couple of times when it hasn't felt hard.
Yeah.
I I would say take a step back. I think too often when we're not feeling inspired, we go for activity, right? We go for effort. And if we're a leader, what that effort looks like is different, obviously, than an individual contributor. But if instead you take a step back and really g- take a walk outside, right? Get out of the office and don't think for a minute and then come back, do something to feel refreshed before you worry about remotivating yourself.
I like that. Go skiing, perhaps.
I that's what I would do. But most can't say tell people to hurl themselves down a mountain if they're but that would definitely be my thing. I would especially at this time of year. Get
That's
on a
great.
bike, go for a walk, right? Whatever your thing is.
That's great. Now you have a website for the book, correct?
I do. Masteringinsidesalesleadership.com.
Ah, that's great. And soon to be available. If not, once this podcast is out for a bit, it will be everywhere books are sold.
Yes, and there'll be a physical copy that Lori and I will both love to buy and
Yay.
write in ourselves.
Yep.
And then, of course, there will be an ebook. And if you want to listen to me read to you while you're in the car, I am the voice of the audiobook as well.
Oh, fantastic. So, Lynn Hidy, it's such a pleasure to have you here today. Lynn's the author of Mastering Inside Sales Leadership and continued success. I'm so happy for you on your book launch.
Thank you very
And
much. It was great to chat with you.
yeah, I hope it inspires a lot of people to, to be stronger leaders or just to see what they're doing and make some tweaks and changes or get into leadership if that's what they want to do.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much,
So
Lynn.
much, Lord.
I'm your announcer, Larry Long Jr., and we sincerely thank you for listening to this episode of Conversations with Women in Sales, encouraging you to share an episode with all of your friends and your favorite male allies. Let's work together to change the face of sales. Until next time, you can find all of our episodes at womensalespros.com/podcast.